The only difference between a hero and a villain is that the latter chooses to utilize his or her authority selfishly and at the expense of others. If I had to choose between an action figure and a golden globe, I'd choose the action figure. People may make fun of you in our world by pressing a button. With the press of a button, they can interrogate you, because you may be the hero in your own tale and the villain in someone else's. I prefer ambiguity because, in my opinion, African American people are often either heroes or villains. The ideal good or perfect bad shouldn't be required of you. Not even magic is necessary. Until you can expose both the positive and negative aspects of someone, you cannot be free. Therefore, it's crucial to me that I can fully convey a character when I portray them. In my 20s, I may have had too many pals. Hollywood searches for a new white leading man and white starlet each year in hopes of winning over moviegoers. However, they are not seeking for the next Sidney Poitier, Will Smith, or Denzel Washington. I have scars from every movie and TV project I've worked on. If you know what Black Panther is, there's no way in the world you're going to say no when they contact you and ask. So you want to play Black Panther? Because there's so much potential for magic to occur. The most difficult period of my life, in my opinion, was when I was living in New York and couldn't afford my rent. I don't mind working. My first agency told me, well, you can't do both things, because they discovered me as an actress, but I was definitely more interested in writing and perhaps directing. And I said, I'm going to show you. I don't read reviews, but I do receive input from my friends, co-workers, and acquaintances who are also producers, directors, and performers. When you look at Jackie Robinson's history, you learn that he has this fire that allows him to take this punishment, but also figure out cunning ways to give it back. Some people might view Jackie Robinson as a very safe African American, a docile figure who had a tendency to try to get along with everyone. Most of the initiatives I end up working on or that I want to be a part of will have an influence on my people, or more specifically, on Black people. I had the impression that Hollywood was off bounds even after I was active in theater, TV, and cinema. There was something alluring and terrifying about Los Angeles. You don't have a lot of time with the part or the script on television. Typically, a week before filming, you get a screenplay. Even that little bit of time is often insufficient for daydreaming about the part. I first worked as a director and writer. I got into acting because I was curious about how to interact with performers. I don't really identify as an actor when people ask what I do, since performers sometimes wait for parts to be offered to them. Guys naturally handle problems and like having plans in place. I was a director major. I did, however, spend some time at the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture in Harlem, so I do have some familiarity with the field of African studies. I played basketball as well as Little League Baseball. I played basketball as my main sport. When you take your basketball seriously, you often continue to play throughout the summer. I gave up playing baseball in favor of it. When the time is ticking and you are under pressure, you have to love things differently. Slavery's relative is colonialism. I grew up in a village of sorts. I believe there is strength in the size of my family, because I always felt like I belonged. Despite everything, it gave me the ability to cope with some of the difficulties of living in the South. Don't Judge the Character was one of the first acting lessons I received. Nothing makes you feel more anxious than a rumbling tummy. However, oddly enough, some of my finest work was produced while I was underprivileged and starving, subsisting on oatmeal and water with a clear mind. Making America great again is a popular term, but how did we get here? One who? Thurgood Marshall was the one responsible. Thurgood Marshall was the one who forced America to uphold its dream and constitution, to ensure that we were on equal footing. He went above and above. I would experience these cycles of being very preoccupied with my job and avoiding social interaction to being in constant contact with everyone, and that could be annoying. It might have been anything at all. When creating a character, you should be familiar with the whole environment. You want to get a spiritual, mental, and physical understanding of them. When another actor says, "You did your thing," or "That was inspirational," you can't really ask for more than that, since actors may have a good degree of animosity against one another. Being a full artist, in my opinion, entails being both in front of and behind the camera, as well as the inventor or creator of anything. I didn't fully comprehend the distinctions between the many facets of the company when I left school. Where would acting in a play lead you, as opposed to, say, focusing on indie movies? Even while you may be thinking one thing, the actions you are doing may not always be leading in that direction. When you play characters, you shouldn't merely adopt their traits. Instead, you should go inside to discover it. I do not reside in a smart home. My home is incredibly illiterate. I like every kind of music: hip-hop, jazz, classical, blues, and rock. Like a hip-hop artist, I often write screenplays to instrumental music. I get writing ideas from music. Either music is playing or everything is quiet. Distant sounds may sometimes give you energy. In New York, you can always hear buzzing underneath you. Reading Black authors meant a lot to me. By August Wilson, Fences. Of course, the autobiography of Malcolm X, The Fire Next Time, and Amen Corner by James Baldwin. I'm the kind of person that checks all the scores when he gets home. Since I like watching sports in general, I generally keep up with the standings in each category. I'd like to perform as Jimi Hendrix. I am aware that baseball players have rituals or routines they form because when they hit a streak and want to repeat a specific action again, it may occasionally border on superstition. People simply want to wake up and realize things have changed. They don't want to go through change, regardless of whether the character is based on a real person or a fictional one. film, I try to approach every part in the same manner. Since you must first know oneself, I always begin with myself. Most of us African Americans grew up liking and appreciating Spider-Man. Even now, I adore Spider-Man. I continue to adore the Incredible Hulk. I still have those white role models, heroes, superheroes, or anything else you want to call them. You were essentially forced to accept them. An ocean of love would be wonderful right now. That being said, the first acting rule is to never ask the audience for their permission. People are unaware of that. You cannot act in a way that elicits acclaim. You must maintain your integrity. I'm a creative. No authorization is required for artists to work. No matter whether I'm performing or not, I write. In fact, I find that when I'm exhausted, my best ideas come to me. Black performers are not treated the same way as white actors and actresses by the business. We must work really hard. I have a masticating juicer of my own at home. A few years ago, I kind of adopted it from pals, and it simply makes me feel more energized. Majority of juiced green apples, celery, kale, spinach, lemon, and sometimes ginger are all disgusting foods. A superhero film's adversaries determine how good it is. The fact that Marvel works with individuals is something I like about them in general. They start by taking care of the person wearing the outfit. Who is the individual who had this talent or skill? I don't need anyone's permission to write. I overdid the SS. I consented to several initiatives that weren't right for me. Although it was someone else's creative creation, dream, and vision, it didn't necessarily fit into my overall plan. When you look back on each of your films, the time you spent making them is so crucial. You want to be able to claim that you threw a challenging experience that changed you. Many of our tales as African American actors haven't been shared. Although I'm from Anderson, South Carolina, I was raised in the South. I thus understand what it's like to ride to school as Confederate flags fly from vehicles in front of and behind me, as well as what it means to see a parking lot full of people waving Confederate flags. Police had stopped me without cause. Everything pays when you start landing significant jobs as an actor. What are the choices you are making then? It has to do with the director, the story, or anything else. But before you get there, you keep accepting jobs, such with a theatrical company, even if they don't cover your expenses. You don't need to do any more biopics. People have stated you don't have to portray genuine people anymore. That is not my opinion. It's critical for directors to comprehend the actor's creative process. When you're acting, there are instances when you just need a little amount of anything to kind of transfer into a scene. The distinction between a professional actor, a movie star, and a celebrity is, in my opinion, distinct. They are each of the three distinct things.